Hi there, my name's Jody Whitesides. I'm a musician, I'm a composer, I'm a producer, and right now we're going to take a look at the Eventide Instant Phaser Mark II. So what we have here is a song that I've released called A Perfect Man. And in this song, I've got a guitar part that I want to start messing around with a little bit to kind of give it a little bit more flavor as I'm going to do a remix for a commercial. Right now I have the plug-in turned off. I have the on-off switch here turned off, and this is the guitar part that we'll be listening to. As you can tell, it's a very nice, clean electric guitar. No effects going on. It's just a little bit of room sound happening and the amp, and that's it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn on the phaser. This is just the default setting that we have here, and this is the difference of what it sounds like. So it sounds like your average phaser, but there's some elements to this particular plugin that are not so average. So if I just flip this little switch right here under mode and I pull up this thing here, it says it's currently set to deep. I can set that to shallow, and that's going to reduce the amount of effect that happens. And I can also set that to wide. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to flip around on this, and as it's playing, you can listen to what it's doing. Now, once I hit that wide one, it really pulled that guitar into a stereo vibe that is really cool. And that's probably where I'm going to start at for doing this commercial remix. I'm going to leave it on wide, and we're going to start looking at some of the other things that we can do here. Right now, the song is set to Oscillator, which means I have two controls that can control the amount that this phase is going to start moving. And essentially, I can reduce it, or I can really make it intense. I'm probably not going to do that one right there, as it just kind of warbles the sound out, but that gives you a good range of what the oscillator can do. Now, that's not turned on to a sync function, so it's not syncing to anything other than itself. If I flip the sync knob, my oscillator will now change between 16 bars all the way up to 1/64th note. So, and it does the exact same thing, it just does it in steps that are incremental to the tempo of the song, which happens to be 100 BPM. For my choice on this right now, I'm going to go with a whole bar. So right there, whole. Now the next thing that I can control here is the depth knob. And on the depth knob, this will turn it from pretty much not doing a whole lot of phasing in terms of reintroducing phase into the signal and then putting it up at 100% and then having a pretty good 50-50 mix of the entire wet signal and the entire dry signal. So let's start here at 0. All you hear is a slight detune going on there. So let's start bumping it up and see where it starts to feel good. That's giving me a pretty good feel right there. I'm going to leave it right there. The next thing that I can control here is this age function. And this age function is an interesting beast. The way this is supposed to work is that if you flip it down to new, that's as if this unit had just come off the line and Eventide had just manufactured the thing and you bought the hardware box. Now, what they have stated is that at 25%, if you had bought an original Eventide Clockworks instant phaser back in the day when they originally manufactured it, and it's now today's age, from then, it would be at 25%. If we push it all the way to old, apparently that pushes it down like 100 years from now or something like that. So what the idea of the age function is that the electronics are going to change over time, and it's going to give us a slightly different vibe to the feel of the phaser. So if I just play this for a moment. That's what that would sound like if it was a brand new box. This is what it would sound like if it was a very old box. So you can hear that the electronics have degraded the signal quite a bit, and it's giving it an entirely different flavor. Personally, I'm going to take it, I'm going to age it just a little bit past what it would be now. I'm going to put it at 30%. I'm not sure how many years that makes in terms of what Eventide has valued that out to, but let's hear that. That's sounding a little more agey than I want, so let's pull it back just a little bit. I'm going to bring it down to 20%. That's working for me. I'll go with that. Now the next thing that happens here is the feedback knob is how much of the signal is getting fed back into the phaser in and of itself, and that's where you can really get some really wide and deep and rich vibe into the phaser. That's getting pretty spacey for my taste. I'm going to bring it back probably down to about 30%. It's working pretty good for me. And this is probably where I'm setting it for that mix that's going out for a commercial later this week.